coronavirus pandemic, many people trying to balance their budget, which can be tough right now, obviously, especially when it comes to figuring out where we need to trim.
Thankfully, we've got Dr. Jennifer Hunter joining us by phone today with some expert tips, an Extension Professor of Family Finance and Resource Management, and also Assistant Extension Director with UK's Family and Consumer Sciences. Thanks for chatting with us today.
Good morning. Thank you all for having me.
Of course. All right, as we've reported, we are slowly starting to reopen the state, but a lot of people have already seen a reduction in income. How do we respond to that?
Right. So looking at your finances at this point in time is important. What we don't want to do is to just bury our head in the sand, that we really want to take a close look at our expenses. And we often talk to folks about fixed versus flexible expenses. And those fixed expenses would be the ones that if I asked y'all right now, I'm not going to, but if I asked you to, you could tell me what is your rent or your mortgage payment or your car payment. Those are the dollars that we know that go out every month, but they're also the ones that we really can't change quickly. Most of us are not going to go out and sell our car because we may have a reduced work hours right now. Where we can adjust is with our flexible expenses. And in normal times, I kind of refer to that as I had $100 in my pocket on Monday, and by Friday, where did it go? It's just kind of that money that leaves us. It might be for food or entertainment, just kind of those bills that we do have some control over. So really and truly what we would encourage people to do, and this is true for everyone, regardless if they have reduced hours or may have lost some income, it's just a good financial practice, is to sit down and make a list of both of those types of expenses, fixed and flexible, so you know exactly how much you have going out, and that can start to show you where to cut back.
That's interesting. Sort of taking us back to like the pen and paper days, but
Yeah.
literally tracking what we're spending things on.
It's always so eye-opening when you do that.
You can do it on pen and paper. You can do it on apps. There's a multitude of ways out there to do it, but it's really just heightening our awareness, really knowing where our money is going, and that will allow us to make the most informed decisions.
So once you have those decisions, what comes next as far as maybe a spending plan, figuring out, okay, we can cut this and put money towards this? How does that work?
Yeah.
Exactly. So a spending plan is what we really encourage, which is just another word for a budget, but it seems people can, the word spending plan is much easier than budget. It seems much more friendly.
Yes.
So, and again, that is if you think about it from a pen and paper standpoint, but again, there's multiple ways you can do it. You want to know exactly how much income you have coming in. If that's your paycheck from work, if that's unemployment benefits, that would also include if you're receiving Social Security payments or child support payments, any income that you have coming in for the month, you want to write that down so you know exactly how much it is that you have to spend. And then you want to make those lists of expenses. Again, the fixed ones, there's not a lot we can do about in the short term. So as we kind of look towards the longer term, we might be able to adjust some of those, but those flexible expenses. So that could be our cell phone plans, our satellite TV subscriptions, streaming subscriptions, those dollars, food away from home, food purchased at the grocery store, those things we can start to adjust until we get to where our income and our expenses balance.
Absolutely. I got to ask this question. How do we have this conversation with our loved ones? Because this can be tough for a lot of married folks, husband, wives. We were talking about flexible versus fixed. There's also wants versus needs out there.
Exactly, and that can be a really hard discussion, and not only do you need to have it with your spouse or your partner, but you also want to have it if you have children, you want to have it with your kiddos, because when mom and dad start spending money differently or having to start saying no, it's important that they understand why. And I often talk to people about a value-based spending approach, and it's just a really simple exercise of where you write down those things that you value in this world, and most of the time that's going to be a safe home, food on the table, things along those lines. But when you write that down and then you build that spending plan around those things you value, it helps people come together with the idea of, well, maybe it's okay that we cut back on this form of entertainment, or maybe I do not need to go and do or purchase X, Y, and Z, because you start to realize that maybe that doesn't really fit what it is that those things are that you value most as a family. So I always like to start with that exercise because it tends to bring people back to we're all working towards the same goal.
Really good. Dr. Hunter, thanks so much for talking to us today. We appreciate it.
Thank you all.